speaker is a lady from our team that we are really, really proud of. And what we've noticed earlier on when she first joined our team was that she was amazing at using the networking groups, at researching them and actually building her business via them. So I kindly asked her if she could share her knowledge and skills with us today, as it is a fantastic way of building your business and building your confidence. So Helen, Thomas, please.
It's all about talking to people. We know that. We've just been talking about talk to everybody. But the more people you talk to, the more successful your business is going to be. So, you know, some people say, well, what happens when I've talked to all my friends and all my family? And so you need to start talking to other people, to strangers. So that's where networking groups come in. So what is a networking group? Well, we all network at the school gates and at the gym, clubs and work. You know, that we mix with different sorts of people in different areas of our life. Well, that business networking groups were set up so that business people can meet together to pass business to each other. And as one of the oldest or the one of the most successful business networking groups, BNI says, give is gain. The idea is that it's not about the connections in the group, it's what you're giving to each other. So if you help somebody, if you pass business to somebody, they're more likely to pass business to you and to use you. So it's not just about what happens in the meeting. You may meet lots of people and you get the opportunity to tell them what you're doing and to, you know, perhaps sell to them or to get them to join your business. But it's about what happens after the meeting. It's about making contacts, making referrals and following up. So the types of networking groups, there are loads around. It's almost like once you join a networking group, you hear about others and you hear about all different types. It's almost like another kind of social group that's going on, you know, behind everybody's back that no one knows about until you join it. There's lots of them that are just informal, pay on the day. For example, there's a Dobby's Garden Centre one near me where you pay £3 on the day for a couple of hours, just on a monthly basis. Just turn up, have a cup of tea and talk to people in an informal setting. I've got there, it's with or without an elevator pitch. An elevator pitch is where you actually stand up and say to the whole group what you're doing, and that can be quite daunting. So an informal one without an elevator pitch is a great way to start networking. If you think about mums and toddlers groups, you know, that's a very informal sort of networking, but it's just a bit more like that. Make friends with people. So that you get to make connections, you get to know people, and they will, you know, be more likely to use your products or to take, you know, recommendations and to look at your business. Then you've got the weekly no joining fees. That's often a breakfast or a lunch or a dinner, and you can get fat on networking because you could be going to a meal at every meeting. There are also the annual ones, the annual fee ones. Which, you know, obviously if you're going to commit to networking, you need to know what you're doing and to kind of choose this wisely, because if you're going to pay for it, you want it to pay you back. You want to make sure that it's worth your while. And the annual fee ones can be, I pay £45 plus VAT, BNI is £750 plus VAT, I think, and then you pay a monthly fee which it covers your meal and your meeting. And there are specific commitments with this. Some are very, very specific, as in if you don't attend, you have to have somebody represent you instead. So you've got some work to do in replacing you, you know, that week. And you get women or men only networking groups or mixed groups. And again, it's preference. If you're a woman and you're not comfortable talking to men, join a women's only for a while. Go to the informal ones till you get the confidence up, and then you can go to the more, you know, the more scary ones. The speed networking. Now, I've been to a couple of speed networking events. One I hated because there were 60 people and the noise was horrendous, and we were just one to one, and then we moved. You know, these ones moved that way and those ones moved that way, and you had a minute to tell the person opposite you what you were doing, and pass your business card. And the noise was horrendous, and I just felt that nobody would remember, and you know, you just came away with 60 business cards. But you came away with 60 business cards. If you followed up on all of those people and said, you know, we didn't really get a proper opportunity, it was too noisy, would you fancy a coffee? You know, that's 60 contacts that you made at that event. I've been to other speed networking events where you're in a foursome and you have 2 minutes to speak to that table before you move to another table. So, you know, it's a great way of getting your opportunity out to lots of people within a couple of hours, and also collecting cards and contacts. But again, it's about following it up. And then there are networking groups where it's one person per profession. I think that's quite good, but don't let it put you off if you go to a networking group and there's already people that you recognise from FM, because people buy people, and some people will be happy to work with me but not happy to work with somebody else, or vice versa, and it's those connections that you make. So make the most of your event. Prepare for it. Make sure you've got business cards. And if you haven't got business cards yet, collect the business cards of the leaders in the room and design your own. Choose what you want, you know, your business card to look like. You can get cheap ones done on Vistaprint. If you haven't got a business card, there's nothing wrong with just doing one on the computer really quickly, or even, you know, loads of post-it notes and say, look, I've just started my business, these are my details. You know, don't let it put you off, don't kind of make this a stumbling block, but it is good to have business cards. Take a pen, diary, notepad, because you might get an opportunity there and then to make a one-to-one with somebody, you know, later on in the week, or you might hear of another networking group, or something that's, you know, that's really useful, and you don't want to lose that information. Take your perfume kit. Quite often you don't have time to actually get it out, but if people hang around afterwards and are interested, get it out. You know, that's a really fantastic prop. Gets people interested, and whenever I've got my perfume kit out at an event, you get other people coming up as well and talking. And you know, these products are sold when people try them, so you're bound to get more sales if you have it. Prepare and practice your introduction. And I've practiced to Paul and the kids and stuff, and I used to kind of chant it in the car on the way there, and you know, and there's nothing wrong with having it and reading it out loud at first, but if you can, talk about it naturally, you know, so that you can look around and talk to people, because you know that comes across better. Prepare an elevator speech if needed. That's your 40 seconds or your 1 minute where you stand up in front of the whole group and say what you do and also what you're looking for. You could have a whole training on what your elevator pitch is about, but you know, the ones that get people's attention are the ones that are interesting or are funny, or just have something that, you know, isn't just kind of boring, really. You know, if you think that some networking events, there are 30 to 60 people, and you know, 30 minutes of listening to people for a minute, it can be quite tedious. And so if you stand out as somebody who's saying something amusing, or if you've got a prop, for example, one that I like is I hold up a tea bag and I say, make a one-to-one with me and you can have one of these free. and I then explain that the tea bag neutralises your nose, and you know that I've got 150 perfumes for people to try. So you know, if they want to meet up with me, etc., you know, a bit better than that. But people remember that, you know, and then they might come up to you afterwards and say, yeah, I'll have a one-to-one with you. Have a goal. Go thinking, you know, I've paid money for this event, I'm going to get so many business cards, or I'm going to make so many one-to-ones actually at the event, or I'm going to make a sale or whatever. Dress appropriately. It's a business networking event. It doesn't mean you have to all be, you know, in the same boring dark suits, women included. You know, just dress smart, and I always think, you know, it should reflect your character. So, you know, dress appropriately. Don't look scruffy. Look like you're a business owner. Look like you're proud of your business. You know, make sure you've got some makeup on and that you're looking good, and make sure you've got your perfume on. Once you get to the event, make sure you arrive early. It's far easier to walk into a room with a few people than a huge number of people who are all talking. So go in smiling and immediately start introducing yourself to people and engaging with people. and listen more than talk, because you want to listen to people, you know, whose businesses aren't doing so well, or whose businesses might kind of, you know, go alongside your perfumes as well, and swap business cards, and also stand out. I always think, you know, people who are remembered in a room, if there's a room of 30 people, 60 people or whatever, you want to be remembered for something. It might be that you're really helpful. It might be that you always wear, you know, something nice, or I know one girl that I never met at a networking group, but they always talked about the woman who wore the red shoes. Now, you know, if they, I don't even know what her business was, but, you know, if they remember you for something, they're going to remember you over and above somebody else, as long as it's a positive thing, that is. After your networking event, as soon as you can in the car or once you get home, write on your cards. You know, if you remember somebody for something, or they said something that was interesting, or, you know, that they perhaps said something about their business failing or whatever, write it on the back of their cards. Or sometimes I put, just a description, really friendly chap who, don't know, something like that. And record some information. Put it in a spreadsheet if you can, if you've already got something like that, or in index cards. Keep people's contact numbers, because that's a contact you've made, and follow up as soon as possible. Just give them a call, say we met at the at lunch the other day. Do you fancy a one-to-one? See if we can help each other, or you can invite them to like your Facebook page, link in with you on Twitter or LinkedIn. I've said why stick with one or two. I think you need to stick with one. In particular, because that's where you build relationships and contacts. If you flicked between lots of different networking events, which I must admit I did at the beginning, kind of thinking I needed to find one, find a good one, you're not making relationships. People, might get to know you, but they'll more often forget you because they're meeting new people all the time. Whereas if you're going regularly, you're getting to know people, you're making relationships, you're making contacts, and you're building trust. And people are more likely to refer you or use you yourself if they know and like you. So stick to one or two, and then go to the other ones occasionally to kind of feed into that as well. It also gives you confidence. The more you get to know people, the easier it is to stand up and do your elevator pitch, or you can practice, changing how you introduce yourself or what you say to people. And also, as you get used more, if people buy your products, if you get team members through the networking group, then, that's going to make you feel great. I've joined a group that meets every breakfast, probably 6 months ago. I've got 4 team members from it, and every week I usually get a sale. Last week was the first time I didn't, I think. But I've had referrals, and I get work for it. It works. And I know that if anybody was to join FM, they would probably join me, because they, most of them have met me for a one-to-one, know what I do, and get on with me. It also builds your belief in yourself. One of the things that struck me when I went to networking groups was that there's lots of people in business who look good, seem to have a very successful business, and look very confident. But when you have one-to-ones with them, or when you get to know them a bit better, you realise that there are a lot of people who are struggling. There are a lot of people who do have a front, and also, the people who, even the people who've got, fantastic solicitors, businesses and whatever, some of them are still reading a script, and the same script every week for 6 months. Whereas I've kind of developed, a better way of talking and stuff like that. And you start to think, well, actually, yes, I am a businesswoman. Yes, I can talk in front of people. Yes, I'm as good as they are. And, other people's businesses aren't necessarily successful just because they sound successful or they drive a company car or whatever. There's also the opportunity, lots of contact networking groups offer training and reduced training as well. And, training, even with other businesses, we all have to make phone calls, we all have to look for contacts, and we've all got the same, similar problems as other businesses, or similar concerns. So, I'm going on a LinkedIn training with my networking group next week, and you know, it's really useful, so it's a great opportunity. And of course you get your increased sales and referrals. You go regularly, people might hear about the perfumes one week, think about it the next because you've mentioned them again, and you know, it might be the third week before they buy them. If you're not there that week, you know, they'll go off the boil. So you will definitely get increased sales and referrals. Some networking groups that I thought of, there's BNI. That's the kind of expensive one that started in America, but it does work for lots of people. But it's you know, £750 a year, I think, to join, and then you've got a kind of £40 a month fee. You've also got a big commitment that, you know, if you aren't there, you've got to get somebody to represent you. But what I like is that, you know, these are the ones that have got the motivation, give is gain. They're all about helping each other, and if you help each other, you're more likely to, you know, to get it back as well. So, you know, great ethos. And what I like, my networking group that I go to is kind of a BNI that broke up and then has kind of started again as in a more relaxed manner. But it makes you work at the business. If somebody gives you a referral one week in BNI, the next week they may check up on that referral to see that you've chased up on it and that they check it's legitimate. So you know, if you need that discipline and you've got to where you're confident about talking about your business, it might be the one for you. For networking, that's a bit more relaxed. That's where you have 3 one-to-ones within a breakfast meeting or a lunchtime meeting. WIBN, Women in Business Networking, that's women only, obviously. Usually a lunchtime, and you can go to one of, you know, several different towns. Athena again is a women's one. I put Federation of Small Businesses in because they have, it's a great organisation to be part of. You can get advice, you can get a card machine cheap with them. They also do events that you can go to without belonging to them, and they do networking events. So you get to meet people in your area who are in business. The Freemasons and the Rotary Club, they're not really networking groups, but I just thought they're great opportunities to network. And I know that if you belong to the Freemasons or the Rotary Club, and they're men only, people pass business. So you're much more likely to, you know, to be used if they support each other in using each other. So so that's it. But of course, what I would say is Google your area. Just put networking groups in Milton Keynes, networking groups in Luton, and you'll get all the other ones, because of course lots of them have their own names. So if there is one at Dobby's or a garden centre local to you, they'll call themselves something different. So, you know, these are national ones. Just Google that. Start small. Start with the informal ones, and build up your confidence until you can try the other ones.